Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Daria, and in today's yoga practice, we will be working on encountering resistance. This class is designed to melt and unfold in a gradual way tension and holding patterns in the hips and the hamstrings. We'll be working toward encountering resistance from a place of softness and acceptance rather than force or avoidance, which are two of the ways in which we might gravitate toward resistance more instinctually because we're not really used to sitting with what we're feeling. And so for this class, if you have a couple of yoga blocks, go ahead and grab them, have them at the top of your mat. If not, you can use a stack of books or any prop that you have available. And when you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start seated in Sukhasana. So find your way here. Go ahead and close your eyes. Allow your knees to fall wide. Take your hands to your waistline or to your hip creases, either, and begin to gently just press your pelvis down into the earth, using your hands to help you feel anchored and weighted down. Soften your hip creases, and then you can relax your hands face down to your thighs. As you do so, feel your own touch. Feel all of the points of connection between your two hands and your legs. Then, from the anchor points of your sitting bones, begin to stretch up through your spine, reaching the crown of your head all the way up to the clouds. Drop your shoulders down your back. And begin to deepen your breath. Take a full inhalation that fills up from your low belly all the way to the tops of both lungs. Big sigh out of your mouth, let it go. As you sigh, soften your shoulders even more. Continue breathing in this way, and then when you're ready, we'll start to breathe in and out through the nose, breathing with sound. So don't be afraid to let the breath be audible, finding an oceanic quality to the breath, soothing your body. Take a moment now to notice anywhere through your body where you're consciously holding. Maybe the knees aren't fully surrendered to gravity. If that's the case, can you drop them more? Maybe in the face there's tension, maybe the jaw, maybe through your cheekbones, the sinuses. And just take a moment to scan, noticing how you're feeling without judging, without labeling anything as right or wrong, better or worse. And as we become aware of these places where we feel holding or stickiness or resistance, simply that awareness can allow us to begin to soften. As we move through this practice, continue to stay aware of places where you are encountering resistance, and then notice the way in which you instinctually encounter that resistance. Do you attempt to force through it? Do you try to avoid it, bury it, not feel it fully? And then challenge yourself to find a way to encounter the resistance softly, slowly, gradually, taking it all in and allowing yourself to accept the experience for exactly what it is. Let's take one more breath here. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, let your pelvis get even heavier to the earth. Stay with your eyes closed, or you can open them if you like. We'll make a circle with the head. So bow your chin down toward your chest, stretch into the back of your neck. And then carry the weight of your head over to the right ear toward right shoulder, stretching through the left side of your neck. Gradually revolve your head on a big circle so that you're Heart and your gaze lift up toward the sky, opening into your throat. Take an inhale here. Feel the expanded capacity through your lungs. And then exhale, roll left ear down toward right shoulder, down toward left shoulder, and slide right shoulder down your back, creating more space into the right side of your neck. And then bow chin to chest, back through center. We'll take one slow circle in the opposite direction. Left ear drops toward the left shoulder. And then the head reaches up toward the sky. Open the front of your throat. Big, full, available inhale here. Then right ear comes toward the right shoulder. And as you exhale, soften your chin back down toward your chest. Blink your eyes open, lift your head. Take an inhale, circle your fingertips out to the sides. Lift your gaze all the way up toward your thumbs. As you exhale, cactus your elbows, stick your butt slightly back, open your heart to the sky, and then begin to contract through your core, pulling your belly button towards your spine as you reach your fingertips forward. 2 more like this. Inhale, lift up through the fingertips, then cactus your elbows, open your heart, little gentle back bend. As you exhale, round in, front body pulls toward back body, fingertips reach forward, stretch through your vertebrae. Inhale, lift up, gaze up, lengthen up. Exhale and curl in. Roll over your shins. We'll come to hands and knees, tabletop. The fingers spread wide. All 4 corners of your palms soften into the earth. So the hands are a wide base, solid foundation. Let's sway the hips side to side, gently gliding left and right. Then find a steadiness here. We'll begin to circle through the hips. So pick your right knee up and take big circles with it, opening out wide to the side and then coming back in. Stay connected to your breath and try to keep your core active here so that we're avoiding arching the spine or arching the back. Go ahead and reverse your circles. Open your hip in the opposite direction. And then hug your right knee all the way up toward your right tricep. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, cross the right knee back behind the left. So finding Gomukhasana in the legs, you can drop the top of right foot down to the earth. Here, we'll begin to shift the hips back toward the heels and then press all the way back forward. So it's almost like we're gonna come into a child's pose, except that the legs are threaded. Find intuitive movement. Find what feels good here for you. So it might be more of a circular pattern. Maybe it's sliding from side to side, maybe forward and back, maybe a combination of all those and other things. Try to drop any ideas of what you should be doing. Allow the breath and the body to communicate via a shorthand where the mind doesn't have to be involved. Trusting that your body knows. Come back through center, unthread your legs, right shin back to the mat. Circles through the left side, so the left knee will float away from the earth, then widen out to the side and draw back down toward the mat. Go a couple of times in each direction, claw into your fingertips. And then reverse. Right toenails anchor down. Hug your left knee all the way up to your right tricep. Contract through your core. Curl your heel to your sitting bone. Inhale. Exhale, left knee slides behind the right, roots to the earth, and then drop the top of your foot down. Hips slide back and forward, side to side in big circles, whatever you want to do. Now here, become immersed in the quality of your breath. Notice if there's any points where the breath gets stuck on its pathway up and down your spine, through your full body. If so, can you notice that resistance and just begin to approach it with softness? Try to smooth the breath so that it becomes velvety, unhindered. Come back to tabletop, unthread your legs. With fingertips deeply rooted, tuck all 10 toes behind you. Press into your palms, float your knees away from the mat, and slowly, slowly, slowly glide back to downward facing dog. Feel every part of the transition. Hips lifting high, palms pressing down and forward. Good. And then in your first downward facing dog of the practice, stretch out the back lines of your legs. The knees can stay a little bit bent. Balls of your feet and toes digging down. Maybe the heels are floating, but they're magnetized toward the earth. Let your sitting bones widen. Let your heart stretch back toward your thighs, and then dig deeply into your hands and your feet. Take a moment here to close your eyes. Let go of any ideas of what this should look like externally. And try just to feel. Let yourself acclimate to the idea of finding the movement from the inside out. So tapping into the visceral sensations, letting go of the brain-bound model for now, just for this practice. Inhale, gaze to your thumbs. As you exhale, slowly step forward. We'll take the feet wider than your wrists, turning the toes slightly out. Root your fingertips down, micro bend your knees. As you inhale, reach back through your inner thighs. Reach forward through your heart, coming into a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, bend your knees deeply. Sink your pelvis down between your heels, Malasana. Fingertips can float away from the earth, and we'll draw the palms to meet at heart center. Press the elbows to the inner thighs. Inner thighs press back into elbows. The collarbones are widening. You can play with your stance here. Maybe the feet want to widen more. Maybe the toes want to turn out, or maybe they'd like to be more parallel. Let your breath wash up and down your spine, allowing the tailbone to act as an anchor, dragging you down, weighting the pelvis, softening the hip creases. Allow the top of your skull to shine all the way up to the sky, creating a radiance, a brightness, a vitality through your spine. Stay here, or we'll find a twist. So you can press your left elbow to the front of your shin, walk your fingertips off your mat, anchor them, then sweep your right fingertips up to the sky, opening, revolving your heart high. Breathe in here. Stay, or find a bind. Circle your arms around and back, bringing your fingers to interlace at your left sitting bone. If you have the bind, peel your right shoulder open and let your heart be, again, like a spotlight that's shining toward the clouds. Breathe in. Breathe out, release the bind. If you took it, we'll all come back through center, palms to your heart. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, right elbow presses to the front of your leg. Fingertips step off of your mat. Left fingertips reach toward the sky. Inhale here. Exhale, keep so much length in your spine as you twist, maybe finding the bind, grabbing the left fingertips with the right. Heart is expanding, shoulder blades draw together. Feel your feet soften to the earth beneath you. Take one more breath in. Exhale, release. Come back through center, palms to prayer. Big inhale, breath. Exhale, fingertips come down. Lift your toes. Swivel on your heels to parallel your feet. Ragdoll fold. Drape your torso down over your thighs. The belly and the tops of your thighs can connect. And do whatever you want with your arms. For me, interlacing my hands at the back of my head always feels really good and allows me to really encourage the full drop through the spine, especially in the middle back, the upper back, and the back of the neck. The whole weight of your head surrenders forward. Use your breath. Notice any sticky spots and start to surrender into them. Good. Now, hug your front body to your back body. Press your feet into the earth. And keeping your core contracted, we'll rise up to stand with a flat back. Reverse swan dive. Fingertips stretch out. Sitting bones press down to heels, which press into the earth. And lift you all the way up to stand. Fingertips float up to the sky. Breathe in. Exhale, swan dive, right back down where you came. Fingertips stretch wide. Go so slow and fold into yourself. Inhale, fingertips root down, stretch your left toes back behind you, expand your heart forward. Then as you exhale, bend your right knee and step your left toes back to about 45 degrees. Root your heel, then rise all the way up to stand, spinning your torso to face the long edge of your mat. Good, inhale here. As you exhale, Trikonasana, outer left hip shifts back, right fingertips reach forward. Then drop your right fingertips down to maybe your shin, your ankle, your foot, the earth, maybe a block in or outside of your front foot. The left hip is stacking over the right. Feet press down energetically to the earth, then pull up through the fronts of your thighs as you lift your gaze toward the sky. Take a breath in. Reach longer through the lines of your waist and reach your left arm beside your ear. Big available breath. Good. Exhale, left arm circles down to the mat. Swivel on your feet. So back heel lifts, front toes lift. We'll roll to a horizon lunge. Outer edges of both of your feet come down to the earth. You can crawl your feet away from the top of the mat to create more space. Then press into knife edges of both feet and to the left palm to lift your hips away from the earth. Right arm stretches to the sky. Right hip stacks over the left. Press back through the big toe of your left foot. Then reach forward through your right fingertips. Big inhalation here. As you exhale, begin to bend your left knee and sink your outer hip all the way down to the earth. We'll hook the right ankle to the front of your left thigh, then spin on your sitting bones till you face the original back of your mat. Fingertips come down at the base of your spine, pointing forward. Actively flex your right toes. Take an inhale to stretch your heart forward toward your shin. And an exhale to stay, breathing through the outer right hip. You can gently sway side to side. To increase the intensity, crawl your front heel in closer towards your sitting bone and maybe walk your fingertips in a little closer as well. To decrease or lessen the intensity, do the opposite, widen your stance. Start to walk your hands back a little bit farther if they were in close to your pelvis and walk your heel out. We're gonna press into the earth, bridge your hips up toward the sky. Create a solid foundation into your hands and the left foot. And if it feels okay, you can drop your head back. Feeling, again, the expanded space into your lungs, allowing the inhales to deepen even further. Take one more breath in, press your hips higher. Exhale, slowly release the sitting bones back to the mat. Then lift your heart and lift your gaze back to neutral. Stretch your left toes to the new top of your mat. We'll find either half lotus or Janu Sukhasana. So for half lotus, the outer edge of your foot comes to your left hip crease, and then the knee can surrender open. Wiggle so you're sitting onto your sitting bones. If that's a lot, take the sole of your right foot, stamp it to the inner left thigh. Again, knee drops open. Either option, same benefits. So really try to listen to what's serving you today. Then lift your heart. Fingertips can come down beside you, elongate through your spine. And on an exhale, we'll begin to slowly fold forward. Go slower than you want to go. Stay with what you're feeling. And there's so many interesting sensations to explore before we find what we think of as our depth. Close your eyes to feel even more internally. And feel the layers of tension slowly, gradually eroding with your awareness, with your breath. Encountering this resistance from a space of kindness, from a space of acceptance. Notice if you begin to force through anything, and then ask yourself where that instinct comes from. Ask yourself how much that force is actually serving. Two rounds here. Press into fingertips, walk yourself all the way back up to a long spine. Then draw your left heel in toward your right sitting bone. We'll step the right foot down outside the left thigh. Again, sitting bones anchor into the earth. Bring your right fingertips to the base of your spine, and then use your right arm here like a second spine, encouraging lift. Inhale, left fingertips reach high. Exhale and twist. Left elbow can hook outside your right thigh, or maybe hug in. Sometimes in this option, feeling the hug in effect where you're squeezing your inner thighs together, I sometimes start to feel this more into my outer right hip, and it ends up just being a more interesting sensation for me. So play with that if you like. Every time that you breathe in, there's length. Every time that you breathe out, you're wringing out your spine, hugging the belly to the spine, and spinning the left ribs toward the right. Begin to revolve back to face the top of the mat. Step your right foot forward. We'll take the left toes long and back behind you, and then sink your left knee to the earth. As you inhale, float your fingertips up, Anjaneyasana. As you exhale, bring your hands to your waistline, to your pelvis. Feel your feet anchor down and feel your pelvis anchor, then lift up through your pelvic floor, creating buoyancy in your spine. Keeping the legs active, begin to melt your hips down and forward. Every time you breathe in, re-energize the lift of your pelvic floor, re-energize the hugging the midline, so inner thighs pull together. Then on the exhale, keep the activations and melt your hips. If you're able to untuck your back toes while maintaining the squeeze of the legs, you can do so, and maybe the fingertips will float down toward the earth. One more breath in here. Exhale, fingertips down, tuck your back toes, lift your knee. Then walk the left foot in slightly, turn your toes out to 45 degrees and find pyramid, folding down over the right thigh. Surrender your head. Here, the fingertips can come to blocks if that helps to make the earth more available, more elevated. Let's take a breath in together. Stretch your outer right hip back, the left hip's reaching forward. Crown of head reaches forward, spine is long. On your exhale, fold in, bow your chest toward your thighs. And then once again here, how do you encounter the resistance that you feel? Can you breathe sweetly and simply into the back line of your leg so that any sensations or resistance that you do feel becomes like ripples on a surface, like stormy waters, but you're all the way at the bottom, calm, just watching, just observing. Inhale. As you exhale, rise all the way up to stand. Use your strong legs, fingertips reach toward the sky, and then open up to star, facing the long edge of your mat. Spin your toes out. As you inhale, the fingertips reach high. As you exhale, sit your hips all the way down low to goddess. Drop your right elbow to your right thigh. Inhale, left fingertips swing up and over. Big side body stretch. If it's comfortable, lift your left heel away from the earth. Breathe in. Breathe out, come through center. Keep the legs deeply bent. Inhale. Exhale, left elbow, left thigh. Right arm stretches up and over. Shoulder plugs into your body. Then fingertips extend, bicep beside your ear, and maybe the right heel lifts. Inhale. As you exhale, press your right heel back down, rise all the way up to stand with the legs drawing towards straight. Then spin on your back foot to point your toes forward at 45-ish degrees, coming back to the triangle stance in the legs. Arms widen. Inhale. Exhale, extend. Outer right hip back, left fingertips down to maybe the ankle, the foot, the earth, a block. Gaze toward your right thumbnail. Breathe in. Breathe out. Reach the right arm over your ear. One more inhale here. Exhale, spin your torso back to face the top of your mat. Press into the left foot and reach your right toes up, standing L. Then kick your heel in towards your sitting bone and begin to bow your chest down over the left thigh. You can drop your head. Let's make circles through the right knee. This can look however you like. Go in both directions. Then, with both sets of fingertips still rooted, begin to stack the right hip on top of the left. Reach back through your right toes so the leg draws towards straight. Anchor into your left fingertips. They're forward and wider of your left foot. Then begin to peel open through your torso, reaching the right fingertips to the sky. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Every breath radiates more energy through your body so that you can explode open like a big star. One more inhale. As you exhale softly, spin your right hip back to parallel and step your right foot all the way down to the mat, hips distance away from the left. Fold in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, root your feet, squeeze belly to spine and reverse swan dive, rise up to stand. Lift your fingertips, lift your gaze, lengthen up. And then exhale, dive back down, forward fold. As you inhale, the fingertips root, left foot roots, and right toes stretch to the back of your mat, standing L. As you exhale, bend the left knee. Turn your right toes out to 45-ish degrees as you root your foot and your heel behind you. Settling into your foundation, press through your feet, rise up to stand. Open your arms to the side, shoulder blades hug at the back of your heart. Inhale, reach out through your fingertips. And then exhale, outer right hip bumps back, left fingertips reach forward, and drop down into triangle. Maybe hands to a block, the shin, the ankle, the foot, or the earth. Press through your toes. Reach out through your right fingertips. Then begin to extend the right arm forward, bicep beside your ear. Breathe in, elongate. Exhale, right palm down. Right heel lifts, left toes lift. Swivel on your feet till all 10 toes point to the long edge of your mat, rolling onto the knife edges of both of your feet. You can widen or shorten your stance as you need by crawling your feet away from each other or away from the top of the mat. Then inhale, left fingertips stretch to the sky. Stretch out in every direction. Press your pelvis away from the earth. And exhale, extend the left arm all the way forward. Big breath in. Exhale, outer right hip sinks to the mat. As it does, you can bend the right knee, then bring the left ankle to cross over the right thigh and spin to your sitting bones facing the back of the mat. You can readjust as you need. Take a couple of breaths here in seated figure 4. Actively flex through the left toes. Spread the sole of your foot. Keep your heart puffy. Keep the breath soft. And then we'll set up for the reverse plank with the figure 4 legs. So breathe in. Breathe out. Press into hands and right foot. Lift your hips toward the sky. Left knee widens. Heart is lifted and maybe the head drops back. Take one more big sweeping inhale to fill up your full body. On your exhale, slowly sink your hips back down toward the earth. Then lift your head, gazes forward. Right toes stretch back to the top of your mat. And we'll find either half lotus or Janu Sukhasana, whichever variation is feeling good for you. Sitting bones are heavy. Left knee is heavy. Fingertips root beside you. Breathe in. Breathe out and start to walk forward. Once again, slow and gradual. Allow your body to acclimate to every slight adjustment. And see if you can find something interesting in every step along the way, every part of the process. And when we're able to notice the more subtle parts of our experience, all of this gets more engaging. And so we never get bored with what we're feeling because there's so many layers to observe. Last round, inhale. Stay for your exhale. Press into fingertips, rise back up. Then draw your heel in towards your sitting bone, maybe fingers away from the mat for an extra challenge. And then the left foot stamps down outside of your right thigh. Left fingertips come to the base of your spine. Breathe in to stretch right fingertips high. Breathe out and find your twist, either hooking the elbow or hugging in, feeling the squeezing together of your inner thighs. Breath is steady, smooth. Slowly unravel. Bring your torso back forward to the top of your mat. Step your left foot forward, roll over the front of your right shin, and then step your right toes back behind you. Sink your knee to the earth. Inhale, fingertips reach up toward the sky. Left heel and right knee magnetize. Exhale, bring your hands down to your waistline. Now, feel a drawing in right at the middle of your waist, then a lifting out of that space, stretching your side bodies longer. As you exhale, the pelvis begins to melt down and forward. A couple of smooth, steady breaths here. Maybe eventually the back toes come untucked. Continually create buoyancy through your spine by lifting the pelvic floor, like the pelvic floor is magnetized all the way through the crown of your head. Last breath in. And breathe out, fingertips down, frame your front foot, pick up your back knee, and then step your right foot in about a foot, turn your toes out to 45 degrees pyramid. As you inhale, drag the outer left hip back, right hip pulls forward. As you exhale, bow over your front thigh. Feel the arches of your feet lift by digging your toes down into the mat. Soften the back of your neck. Soften the space where your head and your neck meet. Soften your skull and your hair. Even your ears, the backs of your ears, your inner ears. How deeply can you feel? Inhale, press through your feet. Keep a long spine and rise all the way up to stand. Reach your fingertips up toward the sky. And then exhale, pivot your left toes in to face the long edge of your mat. Then lift both sets of toes and turn your feet out wide, star. Inhale, the fingertips reach high, open your chest. As you exhale, sink your hips down low, palms meet in prayer. Left elbow comes to the left thigh. Inhale, right arm stretches all the way up and over. Expand through your waistline, your side body. Lift the right heel if it's comfortable. Gaze inside your elbow and twist your heart up. Then release back down, come through center. Inhale, knees stay deeply bent. Exhale, right elbow drops to right thigh. Left arm floats up and over and maybe the heel lifts. Press your pelvis a little forward as you lift your gaze. Inhale. Good. Exhale, rise all the way back up to stand. And then spin your left toes in. Arms reach out wide. Inhale here. Exhale, Trikonasana. Fingertips come down. Left arm to the sky. And then stretch forward through the left fingertips. Inhale. As you exhale, spin to face the original top of your mat. Pick up your back heel, fingertips come down, then press into the right foot to lift your left toes. Standing L. Kick your heel in towards your sitting bone and drop your belly down towards your thigh. Crown of head reaches for your toes. Take some circles through your knee, through your hip. Finding your own range of motion, expanding into your mobility. Go in both directions, reverse, opposite the rotation if you haven't already. Then keeping both sets of your fingertips rooted, start to reach your torso long, stack the left hip over the right. Extend your left toes to the back of the mat. Root your right fingers like a tent, actively gripping the earth. Then begin to open your torso up to the long edge of your mat. Ardha Chandrasana. And let this feel indulgent. So imagine that your body is like clay. Your breath is the animator. And so whenever you breathe in, there's this infusion of life, this infusion of energy and vitality that stretches you in all directions. Good. Breathe out. Spin your hips back to parallel, and as softly as possible with control, step the left foot down beside the right, folding into a ragdoll. Inhale, halfway lift. Lift your heart, lift your gaze. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms. Step your feet back to a high plank. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, micro bend knees and elbows and glide back to downward facing dog. Pause here. Notice how down dog feels now compared to the first one of your practice. Has any of the resistance that you experienced cleared? Has anything softened, opened up for you? Inhale, reach your right leg high to the sky, three-legged down dog, the hips are square. As you exhale, glide right knee toward your right wrist at the top of your mat, and then align for half pigeon so that your shin will be somewhere between 45 and 90 degrees. Drag the left toes back. Walk your fingertips forward of your right shin, maybe beside you if it's available. Pull right knee and left knee toward the midline to keep your hips square. And then think of revolving the back inner thigh up toward the sky. We'll take a couple breaths upright here. So before folding forward, maybe your hands are on blocks if that's more comfortable. You can also prop up your hips with a block. So maybe sliding a block under the outer right hip here. Now, I want to encourage you to play with anything that feels intuitive. I'm gonna play with mermaid today. If you'd like to join me there, you can. Kick your back heel in toward your sitting bone. Then take your left elbow, hook your toes. Stay lifted through your pelvic floor. Keep magnetizing your knees toward the midline. You can stay right here with the right fingertips down, maybe hand to your front thigh. Maybe stretch up to the sky with the right fingertips. Breathe in. And as you exhale, you can hook your fingertips, press the back of your head into your right upper arm. And then breathe into all of the space in your heart. And wherever you are, wherever you've been playing, let's go ahead and release. So the back toes find the earth again if you were in mermaid. And we'll all fold forward now, surrendering into the more restorative, deep hip opening stretch. Rest your head down to the mat, to a block, to fingers, maybe fists that are stacked. Notice if there's anywhere that's feeling especially sticky or tight into your outer right hip in this shape. And imagine that that space is like a sponge that has dried up and hardened. Now, imagine that you're able to immerse that sponge in the ocean and watch as it expands and all of the space fills up with water, and it grows and it floats suspended there. So use this visual to continue expanding, releasing the hardness, breathing through all of your pores. Good. Press into your palms. Walk your hands back in, tuck your back toes, and glide gently back to downward facing dog. Hips high. As you breathe in, the left leg stretches up, three-legged down dog. As you breathe out, glide forward. Left knee comes behind your wrist at the top of the mat and align for half pigeon prep. Fingertips walk back, maybe in front of your shin, maybe beside your hips. And let this side be new. So you might be experiencing some different sensations right away, different places that feel resistant. Take a moment to acknowledge those, breathe into them. And then take a couple breaths to play. Maybe kick your back heel in. And reach to grab for the foot. Maybe first with just your hand. And maybe it can pull in a little closer so you can hook with your elbow. Stay, breathe. Wherever you are, continue to find areas where you can consciously soften. One more breath, playing wherever you are. And release. Start to fold forward. Drop your torso down, lowering maybe to the forearms. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms, your forearms, your hands, all 10 fingers. Soften the lines of your face, your jaw, the back of your neck. Last 2 rounds, let them be the deepest breaths of your practice so far. Press down, rise back up. Walk your hands in, tuck your back toes, and step to downward facing dog. Take it nice and slow. And the hips can sway side to side as you release. Lower your knees down to the mat. And we'll come all the way down to a seat. We'll end our practice here, right where we began, in Sukhasana. If you'd rather come down to lie on your back for a Shavasana, please do so instead. So bring your palms to face up now on your thighs. Let your pelvis sink. Let your spine lengthen. Now simply observe the effects of your practice. Notice any shifts in how you're feeling now compared to when we began. And recognize that when you're able to encounter resistance in this way, with grace, with softness, you're able to ultimately move through it more easily and to fully process every part of what is causing that resistance, rather than forcing through it without learning anything from it, and also rather than burying it or suppressing it or avoiding it. And when we do that, somehow that resistance always finds its way back. So know that you are always able to intentionally breathe into what you're feeling. Allow yourself to experience sensation and emotion in its full form, in all of its layers. Draw your palms to meet in front of your heart. Take a big inhale through your nose. Sigh out of your mouth. Lift your thumbs to your third eye and bow gently forward. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me today. Encountering resistance and really sitting with what we're feeling can be a very uncomfortable practice, especially when you're going through something that might be a bit more challenging. So recognize yourself for this practice. I hope that you're feeling good. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, you can do that down below. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.